You know that feeling, right? When you've torn your entire house apart looking for your keys, your wallet, something, only to find it in the one place you never, ever thought to look. Well, we've all been there. Today, we're going to break down a real-life search for some lost items, and you'll see it actually reveals a super simple principle for why this happens, and maybe even how you can find things a little bit faster.
So here's our mystery. A coat and a bag. They've just vanished into thin air. On the surface, it seems like a pretty simple problem to solve, doesn't it? But as you're about to see, the search itself is what's really fascinating here.
All right, let's treat this like a proper case file. We've got two investigators on the scene, Martin and Daniel. Their mission seems totally straightforward, but, the path to finding what's lost is almost never a straight line.
And here they are, our official targets. This isn't just a casual look around, okay? This is a focused hunt for one specific coat and one specific bag. These are the only two things they're looking for, or at least that's what they think.
So the investigation kicks off, and I mean right away, it's just pure chaos. There's no system, no plan, it's just a bunch of hopeful guesses, which, as you can probably imagine, leads absolutely nowhere, fast. The first attempt is a total shot in the dark, just a vague, in here kind of gesture. It's driven way more by hope than by any actual logic or memory. We've all done this, right? That first desperate look in the most obvious spot.
And no. The result is an immediate negative. That's the first dead end. You can almost feel that initial burst of optimism just start to fizzle out, and the frustration starts to creep in.
Okay, so they pivot. The next spot is a little more specific, a little more unusual. Behind the speaker? I mean, it's the kind of place things can fall by accident, right? But it's not the right one.
And this is where the human element just comes crashing in. The search hits another wall, and you get this little moment of playful frustration. You can just hear the tension rising between our investigators as this whole thing gets more and more ridiculous.
But then, just when it seems like the search is a complete failure, the whole investigation takes this wild, unforeseen turn. A discovery is made, but it's not what anyone was looking for. This is where the real mystery actually starts.
An item is finally found, but wait, it's not a mission objective. It's a water bottle. This is a purely accidental discovery, a complete sidetrack from the main goal of finding that coat and bag.
And this quote, it just captures the moment perfectly. It's pure, genuine surprise. See, the item wasn't just lost, it was forgotten. It was hidden. This suggests a pattern here that goes way beyond just misplacing things. Things aren't just missing, they're hidden, sometimes even from ourselves. So what we're seeing here are two parallel stories happening at the exact same time. On one side, you have the intentional hunt for the coat and the bag, and on the other, you have the accidental recovery of water bottle and, believe it or not, a forgotten lunchbox. The search is actually working, just not in the way anyone expected. So after all these detours and these lucky finds, our investigators finally get back on track. They start to close in on their original targets. All that chaos is finally starting to pay off. And there it is. You can hear the excitement in the confirmation. Coat? Yeah, coat, coat, coat. That repetition says it all, right? It's that perfect mix of relief and pure victory. The first mission objective is officially recovered.
And then, with just a simple final statement, bag done, the mission is complete. Both primary targets have been located, case closed.
So let's look at the final evidence log. It lays the whole story out. The water bottle and the lunchbox, found completely by accident. Total surprises. The coat in the bag, the whole reason for the search, were found through intentional effort. It's a perfect summary of this chaotic, but in the end, very successful investigation.
So, what's the big lesson here? What can we learn from all this? Why were those items so hard to find in the first place? Well, the search itself actually points to a really fascinating principle about how and where we lose things.
And this brings us to the key takeaway, what we're calling the new places principle. See, we usually look for things where they're supposed to be, in their logical, normal homes. But this principle suggests that the things we lose are often in recently created temporary spots, these new places we've put them without even realizing it.
And this single line from one of our investigators right at the end of the search, it just perfectly sums up the entire lesson. It wasn't that the items were just in random spots. They were in a whole new system of spots. And realizing that, well, that was the key to cracking the whole case.
This case was about a coat and a bag, but this principle, it applies to so much more than just lost stuff.
It's about how we find new ideas, new solutions, even new perspectives. So, the real question for you is, what are you looking for right now? Maybe, just maybe, the answer isn't where you think it is. Maybe it's hiding in a new place you haven't even thought to check yet.